Hey folks, this is Damien here. I can see we've got some early arrivals already. Michelle, Daniel, Rodney, welcome back. Kathy, Beth, welcome back. If you've got a question, guys, you're welcome to pop it in the chat for us. No worries, Kathy. You make you a toast. I'm not ready to start just yet. We won't start until right on time at 11:30. Looks like Carolyn has just joined us. Welcome, Carolyn. Good to have you back. Nicholas, welcome back, sir. Good to have you here. Two minutes to kick off, folks. Welcome back. It's good to have you here. And looking forward to ramping up the fun again here in a moment. Okay. Thanks for being here nice and early, folks. Good to have you back. All right. We've got everybody starting to come back in and join us, which is great. Welcome back, guys. I'm popping a link in the chat. The long link. Click on that. That should allow you to download a document that I'm going to ask you to work with during this session. So there's a link in the chat. For those who've just come in the last few seconds, I'm going to pop it up there again in a moment. But for those of you who can see it, can you click on that and download that document? Just confirm to me that that link worked okay, would be great. Oh, really? That's disappointing, Di. Didn't work for you. It's working for others. There's a link in the chat, guys. Just one link. I've copied it a couple of times now. Can you send... Doi, I'm going to try and do that for you, okay? Okay, Daniel didn't... Okay. See your message. Okay, so guys, I'm popping a message, a link in the chat. It's the same link that some of you have already seen. No, I stuffed it up. Wait on. Hoping that you'll be able to access this document that I'm popping in the chat now. Okay, we've got several students who have been unable to download this. But this will be a time saver. Now, if you can't download it because your company doesn't allow access to cloud storage solutions and stuff like that, don't panic. I've got a plan for that in a moment. Okay. But if you're able to download it, that would be great. Generally speaking, we find that students can download this even if they're using a Mac, rather than just needing to be a member of OneDrive. But I could be wrong. Okay. All right, folks, the last time I'm going to pop it up. Otherwise, people are a bit late to grab it. So for those who've just arrived, there's a link I've just popped in the chat. I want you to download that document, please. We're going to use it during this session. If you're not able to download it because of restrictions within your company, or it's just not downloading, not behaving nicely, then I will suggest an alternative plan in a moment. Folks, if you've been able to download that document, could you pop a yes in the chat, please, if you've been able to download that document, even if you already responded earlier. I just want to get an idea of how many people have got it. See, if you've downloaded, it gives a yes. Okay, Gobin, I noted that you were a no. Anyone else who's been unable to download the document, pop a no in the chat, please. Melanie, noted. Okay, Suzanne, thank you. Simone, the answer to your question is going to be no. Claire, the document I'm discussing is I've just put the link in the chat again. Okay, so we got several no's. Okay, all right. All right. For everybody who said no, could you please because there's about 4 of you. Could you please send me a private message on Dropbox? You can send me, you'll be able to see me. Send me a private message with your email address, please, so I can send this document to you. I'm going to email it to you. Wasn't expecting so many people, but we've got quite a few there. So send me a private message with your email address. Thank you for the delay. Sorry for the delay, guys. Once we get going, this is going to save us a lot of time. It'll make you very happy that you've got this document. So I want to get it in all your hands. Okay, I'm going to tell you that I've got your email address. Daniel, I've got yours. Gillian, you're in. Gaben, I've just added yours. Janet, just sending it to you. I see your query there, Dai. If you click on where it says everyone in the chat, just go hosts and panelists. So in the chat where it gives you options as to who to send it to, please click hosts and panelists. Okay, Gaben, you got it now. That's good. Okay, Dai, I see your email. I've got it. Okay. So is there anyone else who hasn't been able to download the document that I put in the chat? Apart from Gaven, who I now believe is sorted anyway. Janet and Dai and Daniel. Is there anyone else? Last chance. I haven't sent it to you yet, Janet, so that's why. Melanie. Okay. Melanie. Have you popped your email address in the chat for me, Melanie? You sent me a private message with your email. If you do that, I'll send it. Elizabeth, I hear you saying that you want an editable copy. I don't, I'm not sure emailing it will solve the problem. It should be editable, but I'll send it to you via email anyway. Melanie, if you click in your chat where it says everyone, click on that and it'll give you an option to send it to hosts and panelists instead. Janet, I've noted that you've sent me a revised email address. Adding that one to the list. Okay. Elizabeth, I've got yours. Tammy, added to the list. Okay. Melanie, are you able to send me that private message? Yes, you have. Thank you. All right. Okay. Barbara, I'll include you. Lauren, you don't need to. There's a document I'll pop in the chat in a moment that you should be able to download. I'm sending that message now, guys. Don't send. The email is just simply titled file. Okay, so I've sent it. So I'm going to pop a link in the chat. For those who arrived late, you might have missed it. I'm hoping you'll be able to download this document. Okay, and then we're about to start. All right, so the document is now in the chat. Okay, hopefully you'll all be able to download that. Okay, for those of you, I collected your emails. I've emailed you. It's on its way. Okay, let's get started, guys. Linda, hopefully you'll be able to download the document from the chat there. Okay, I've already sent the email. Sorry, Linda. I'm hoping that'll work well for you. All right, so folks, what that document does is it gives you assessment mapping template. Now, this is the same template that you download from assessment 10 for those in S cluster or assessment 4 for those in S502. It's the same template, but the difference is I've added in all the extracts from the unit of competency for that unit that we're working on. So you'll see the elements are there, the foundation skills are there, the detailed performance evidence, detailed knowledge evidence, and specific assessment conditions are there. That means you won't have to copy and paste all that stuff. So that's going to be a big time saver for you. Okay. So if you're using any other unit, use the same philosophy, but you have to do all that copying and pasting. And I know it just takes forever and it's really boring. Put on some music. Just do it when you're tired because it's not something you're likely to stuff up. And just get that done. At the top of this one, I've actually highlighted in red at the top of the columns the 3 assessment methods we're using, which are direct observation, product-based, and questioning. On the normal template, you don't get that. But on this occasion here, I've highlighted them in red just to make it a little easier. Excuse me. All right. So what we're now going to be doing is we're going to be working our way through it. You shouldn't be seeing anything as such because I'm just talking about the template that you've downloaded. Okay. But good question, Tanya. I will share it now, but I'm going to share a different version to what I've said to you guys because I'm going to share one that has the answers in it. So I'm downloading that now and I'll be providing that to you in just a moment. While I'm doing that, as always, if you've got questions, please pop them in the chat. All right. Thanks for your patience, guys. I'm just got lots of moving bells and whistles here, and I'm just trying to get everything sorted in a way that's going to work for you. Okay. Okay, guys, you should now be able to see the mapping that we've done as an example for you. Can you please confirm in the chat that you can see that mapping? Yes or no? Okay, great. All right. Now, it only looks, that first page only looks different to the one you've got because it's got the X's in it and it's got the unit of competency heading in it. All right, good stuff. So this is where we get going. So just checking if there was any other questions I missed. I don't think there will be. Linda has asked, are we editing this template? The template that you've either just downloaded from me a few minutes ago or that you've received via email is the one that we're going to be editing during this session. It'll be a time saver for you because I've copied down all the elements and performance criteria and all the good stuff on the left-hand side. Has everyone got that template ready to go? I'm just putting a little thing in the chat. Please let us know if you got that template so that you can put your X's in and do the mapping. Di says yes. Everyone else? Jevan, yes. Gillian, yes. Okay. I'm seeing lots and lots of yeses, which is good. Now, I'm guessing there's going to be a no or two because you haven't been able to get it open or the email didn't work or you haven't got it yet or something like that. Don't stress because once I show this to you, this won't take very long to do. The mapping is out of all the parts is the quickest, especially once you've got that stuff in on the left. Copying all that stuff on the left is what takes time. Now, for those of you who aren't using this unit of competency with the assessment plan this morning, okay, that's fine. You'll see the process. I will explain it to you. I'll show you how it works with this example, and then you'll be able to do your own. Okay, and again, you download the templates normally from the assessment 10 for those of you who are doing the assessment cluster or assessment 4 if you're doing TIE ASS 502. Okay, all right. If you're doing this, you asked for the ERPL upgrade only. Okay, you probably don't need to be here because we don't ask you to do this detail mapping in the ERPL upgrade tasks. So watch it for TIE ASS 502 if you're doing that. If you're doing only ERPL upgrade, that's all the only thing you're enrolled in, you can probably bug out and come back to the next session, to be honest. Okay, all right. So this is how it works. Up the top, we put our heading. Now, on the template that I gave you, it doesn't have the headings. I want to remind you to type it in. So can you please type in the unit of competency code and the title at the top? A lot of students forget to do that. And that is an automatic resubmission if that happens. So please remember, type in the unit of competency and code. So if you're working with your example right now with that template that I sent to you, type it in, And then we're going to get into the mapping. So there's 3 assessment methods we're going to be using: direct observation, product-based, and questioning. Now, we know they're the 3 we're going to use because that's what we said in our assessment plan. Okay. And we need consistency through all of the 5 documents that you're going to create. We check for this. We look at it. And if there's something inconsistent and you're mapping against an instrument you didn't create, or you're mapping against an instrument that you didn't identify in your plan, it'll be a resubmission. We'll ask you to fix it. Okay. So they're the only 3 columns we're going to use. We're not developing a portfolio instrument. We're not developing a third-party instrument with the example we've been working through together as a group. So ignore those columns, put all your X's in those other columns. Now, if you have a look and study what I've already done in the example on the screen, you'll see sometimes we've got 1 X in a row. Sometimes in a row, we've got 2 X's. Sometimes in a row, we've got 3 X's. In fact, I can't see any with 3 X's on that page, but I'm guessing there's some on the next page. Okay. So what we need to do is we need to make sure that everything we have to assess gets assessed. So every row should have at least 1 X. Otherwise, we haven't mapped it. We haven't planned how we're going to assess it. Every row needs at least 1 X. Sometimes you'll have 2, sometimes you'll have 3. The choices are yours. Okay. Now, for those of you who are going to be sticking with this example and doing it for the whole of today, I do recommend with your mapping here that you map it exactly as I have here. Okay, don't overthink it too much because it'll match up well with what we're going to do with the instruments later. Okay, so that is permission to copy what I've got on the page here with the X's. So I'll give you a little bit of time to do that for this first page. I'm just going to scroll up a little bit. That's the whole page you can see now. Okay, and just do your identical mapping because then it will align with our instruments when we create them later today. Of course, if you've got a different unit of competency you're working with, you just have to work through each row and look at the row and think, what is the best way to assess this? Is it easy for us to assess it using 2 methods or 3 methods? Is it something that's really important? Maybe I do want to assess it with all two or 3 methods as opposed to just 1. You think we need another X on element 4? Tanya, if you want to put another X in element 4, you are welcome to do so. Knock yourself out. That's cool. You think we're a little short. Interesting. Based on the plan. Oh, I see. There you go for high achiever status, Tanya. Was it 4.2 you had in mind? Oh, here we go. A question from Lauren. I find it confusing to map first when you haven't yet created the assessment instruments because I don't know which instruments will cover each element, or is this just the plan for what each instrument will look like? Okay. Notice the way I'm changing your words there a little bit because assessment tool is the whole thing. Damn right. I get paid money to do this, Lauren. So I should get things like that right. It's all good. Okay. Great question. Let me provide my answer. My answer is what you wrote in the second half of your question, by the way. Okay. So here we are. There's 5 documents in an assessment tool. You've got your assessment plan, you got your mapping, and you got your 3 instruments. Okay. What order you do them in is up to you. You will ultimately decide. Okay. And I'm not talking just to Lauren here. I'm talking to everybody. Okay. Some people, some assessors, and I'm talking experienced assessors here, find it easier to do the plan, then the mapping, then the instruments. A lot of other assessors find it easier to do the mapping, then the plan, then the instruments. Some very creative types like to do the instruments first, then the plan and the mapping. I don't recommend that. I don't recommend that because personally, it's a really dangerous strategy from my personal point of view. And other Mr. Wet assessors have told me they don't like it either. Because what happens is if you just start creating instruments without having done the plan and mapping, you're just creating instruments based upon your gut feel or what you think should be in there or what you think should be assessed without having a deliberate plan as to what you actually need to assess. Okay. Now, we might be experts in our individual areas and we might have a pretty good feel for what things should be assessed, but it's really time intensive to work in reverse by doing the instruments first. So I recommend don't do the instruments first. I recommend do the plan, then the mapping, then the instruments, or the mapping, then the plan, then the instruments. Either of those solutions work well. Now, the way I'm teaching it today is to do the big overall arching document, the plan first, then the mapping, then the instruments. Seems to work pretty well. Okay, so I'd be inclined to stick with that. But you might make a decision at some stage as you're working through your assessment tools. It doesn't feel right and you want to do the mapping first. If that's okay, that's fine. Okay. But strongly recommend you do those two documents first before the instruments. I've changed my plan, so now all good. You had questioning mark. Okay, great, Tanya. No worries. All right, awesome. Okay. So what we've done here is we've basically worked our way down the page and we said, what are the best ways to assess these rows, these line items, based upon the three methods that we've chosen? And that's what we came up with at Mr. Webb. Okay. Now, interestingly, if I did this and Jeff did this and Phil did this and Kim did this, whoever your favorite learning leaders are, okay, we'd all do it differently. We would. It's not something that there's only one right solution. Okay. We would all do it differently. Okay. So point number one I'm trying to make here is when you do this, don't stress. Mapping should be a stress-free zone. Okay. Because it's your answers. You get to decide. Okay. We're not going to sit there and second guess you too much. If we see you putting X's in all three columns all the time, we're going to go, really? Really? Is that what you really think we should do? If you put one in each row all the time, just one, we're going to look at that and go, really? And we're probably going to query it and say, look, that just doesn't look right, doesn't feel right, doesn't look like what we'd expect to see in the real world. So have a variety of one or two or three. Okay. Make sure you use only the three methods that you've selected in your assessment plan. Apart from that, you can't go too far wrong. Trust your instincts. Don't sit there and look at number 3.3 and think about it for 10 minutes. You are trying way too hard. We need to make decisions. There's so many decisions you've got to make in this document. The thing that will hold you up in this document is taking too long to make decisions. So make relatively quick decisions. Follow your instincts. Okay. Okay. And yeah, you're absolutely right, Lauren. You make a really good point there. Yes. Once we've done all the mapping and once we've created our instruments, in the real world, we tweak. We make changes. We tweak. And we actually have questions to help facilitate that and enable that as we go through the documentation. All right. I'm now going to move on to the next page. Is everyone finished with that page you see on the screen? Everyone happy with that? Just give me a no if you're not. If you want more time, just give me a no. Otherwise, I'm going to assume yes, but you can write yes. Is there anyone who needs more time? Looks like lots of yeses. Don't see any no's. All right, we're going to move forward. By the way, I'm going to make a promise here now. This is a bold promise. Okay. If we finish this session early, I'm going to have an optional dad joke for you. Optional dad joke delivered live. Okay, I picked one out. I'm ready to go, but it's optional and only if we have time. Okay, so that's an incentive to move through, I suppose. This is the next page, which is the foundation skills. Now, curiously, on this page, when we did the mapping, we mapped all three of the methods. Curious? It's just the way we did it. Okay. Do you need to do that? No, you don't need to do that. But for those of you who've been able to access the template that I provide at the start of this webinar, all you have to do is add those X's. Shouldn't take you too long. Okay. I'll give you 30 seconds to do that on your template, and then I'm going to explain the complication. There's a complication that I'm going to explain to you in 30 seconds. I find that I drink about 3 times as much water when I'm on these webinars as usual. Interesting. Interesting, I think, anyway. Jennifer, you're done. Nice work. Okay. All right. So here's the complication I want to explain. Okay. In some units of competency, when you're looking at the unit of competency, they tell you what the foundation skills are. They even give you the descriptions, and they even give you the performance criteria. That makes it easy. You just copy that stuff in off the unit of competency. Quick, easy, not much thinking required. In other units of competency, probably most of them, it doesn't do that. It says something like foundation skills are explicitly mapped within this unit of competency. Some wording like that, which basically means we're not telling you. Okay, you have to figure it out yourself if you want to map it. Okay. The advice Mr. Wed has received is that we do need to have our candidates, our students, you guys, be able to do this mapping even where it's not given to us. So if you find a unit of competency where it doesn't have anything in the foundation skills and doesn't give you this information, you work it out yourself to your best guess. Okay, so you have a look at the unit. You ask yourself, are there reading skills? Are there oral communication skills? Are there numeracy skills? Are there some of these other employability skills that are on the template? Okay, are there or are they not? You don't have to map all of them. You decide which ones are relevant to that unit of competency. Where it is relevant, you create a description based upon the performance criteria of relevance. You just want a very simple description. You don't want anything longer than this, okay? And you put down the performance criteria that are relevant to that foundation skill, okay? I will say that again. Good question, Brett. I'll come back to that one. What you do is you look at the foundation skills as listed on the template and you ask yourself which ones would be evident within this unit of competency. Do students doing this unit of competency need to have oral communication skills? Do they need reading skills? Would they need self-management skills? You pick the ones of relevance. You create a short description for it, a summary if you like, and you list performance criteria where you think it's relevant. And you get to make those decisions. Do not stress again that you might not have the same answer as Damien, because Damien's answer is different to Diane's answer, which is different to Helen's answer, which is different to Jeff's answer. Okay. You put something down that makes sense to you. You put the crosses in the boxes where you think it's relevant. Doesn't have to be all 3 methods. Okay. And then you just move on to the next page. Okay. I hope that makes sense. Now, Brett's asked a question, how would you address the skill of learning? Okay, there's one of the ACSF core skills is learning. It may appear on the template that you download. Okay, if learning is there and you look at the unit of competency, you think there is a lot of learning going on, it would be an exceptional amount of learning, would require some real learning skills by the students, then same process. Identify the performance criteria that focus on the learning, okay, and create a short description for it. And that's what you do, okay? Can you add a skill? For example, my unit of competency has problem-solving skills, but the template doesn't. Yes, you can, Leanne. Yes, you can. Yes, you can is the answer. Okay. All right, awesome. Are there any other questions about mapping the foundation skills? All right, let's move on to the next page. Now, this one, we've got the performance evidence. Now, performance evidence, okay, is where you copy from the unit of competence again, and performance evidence is like skills. It's evidence of our students' ability to perform. Okay, so it's skills evidence, but we call it performance evidence. That's the technical term. Okay. Now, what you do is you divide things into different rows, like we've done here. Don't put all the performance evidence in one box and then show the mapping. You want to break it up in a logical way. Okay. In this case here, we've got it broken up into 4 sections. Okay. And again, we've done the mapping. Okay. So do that mapping. And are there any questions you want to ask? Now, Linda, I noticed that you've written the word numbers in the chat. I'm not sure if that's, oh, sorry. What's the 1.1 number? Okay. That's from the performance criteria. So when you look at the unit of competency, Linda, you'll see it's got the elements, and the elements always have a whole number, and they're always numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, however many there are. And the performance criteria are within those elements. So they're 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, for example, within the first element. Within the fourth element, they're 4.1, 4.2, 4.3, however many they need to have. So those numbers come from the performance criteria that we had on the previous page, because in the foundation skills, we reference which performance skills are relevant to those different foundation skills. Okay. Awesome. Jennifer, detailed performance evidence we need to prepare on our own in the next assessment tools. Detailed performance evidence we need to prepare on our own in the next assessment tools. The answer will be yes if it's not available on TGA. Okay, you've written that is not available on TGA. I think you meant TGA. Yeah, if the foundation skills aren't there and it doesn't list the performance skills, the performance criteria, etc., in the foundation skills, yes, you do need to do it yourself. It depends which units of competency you choose. And some students might be cutting and say, well, I'm only going to choose units of competency that have them there. That's fine. That's a choice you can make too. Gobinda, what if my USC does not have a description of 1.1, etc.? Okay, so you just make up the description is the information, is the answer to that as well. If there's no descriptions provided in the foundation skills, you just create the description, okay? I would create that description based upon the performance criteria. The performance criteria always have some wording. You can borrow that wording and refresh it to create your description. That's what I would do. Okay. All right. Hope that answers both those questions. They were good ones. Does anyone need any more time? If you need more time, write the word more in the chat, please. Otherwise, if you're finished with that screen, we're going to move on. Demi's written, do we need to list all the elements in the units of competency? Definitely, Demi. Must list all the elements, must list all the performance criteria, must list all the knowledge evidence, all the performance evidence. Everything has to be everything, because otherwise you're not assessing the whole unit of competency. So the simple answer to that one is yes, Demi. No, that'd be great if I said, no, I only do half of them or something, save you some time. But no, you need to map the whole unit of competency. That's unavoidable. Yeah. Okay. All right. Next page is knowledge evidence. So knowledge evidence is evidence of what's in our heads. Okay. Finding it hard to fit that all on the whole screen, but we got there. Okay, so this is the knowledge evidence page. Again, we've broken it up into discrete sections, so we get a feel for how we're going to be assessing the different pieces of information. Again, we're only using the same 3 methods that we identified in our assessment plan. And we're choosing either 1, 2, or 3 of the methods to assess each component of that knowledge evidence. Okay, Jennifer's asked, the first section is empty. Yes, it is empty. That's by design. That's deliberate, Jennifer. If you read it, It's actually an introduction like paragraph, and then everything underneath it is bullet points. So if you read it, it's like an introduction. Demonstrate knowledge required to complete the tasks outlined in elements of performance criteria for this unit. And then it's all the other stuff. It's all the specifics are below it. Yeah, thanks for asking. Julia is done. My UAC has 15 pages of knowledge evidence. 15. Wait, and you've gone 1.5 now with an exclamation mark. So it was, 1.5. Oh, sorry. I was about to say, you've chosen the worst unit of competency ever. 1.5 is a lot, but yeah, that happens. That happens. Yeah, quite a few have 1.5. That's why you want to download the Word documents, and it copies and pastes really nicely out of Word. So yeah, Amelia's got 1. Yeah, one's still a lot, not good, but I've seen worse. 15 really freaked me out. If you're doing your own plan, can you not add in all the columns that are not needed? Linda, you can take away the columns you don't need. I've got no problem with that. Our assessors will go, okay, yeah, that's cool. Please scroll up slightly to dangers, dot point at bottom. Please scroll up. Dangers. Oh, Claire, I'm not sure where you want me to go. Don't know where the dangers are. What is it that you want to see? Sorry, down for me? Is there another one? Oh, yeah, there's one over the page. You're right. Sorry. There's the one over the page, guys. Dangers of inert gases. And it's just that 4th column. What's that 4th column? Questioning. You're going to ask questions about inert gases. Okay. I'm going to move forward. If that's a problem, shout out in the chat. Let me know. We're going to move forward to specific assessment conditions. We're finished with the X's. No more X's. Whew. Okay. So now we do something slightly different. On the left-hand side, we've copied the specific assessment conditions. Now, specific assessment conditions are what it suggests. They're assessment conditions identified by the unit of competency that we want to satisfy when we're doing our assessments. The conditions of assessment. Yeah. So we copy them from the unit of competency on the left-hand side. On the right-hand side, we put a very simple statement as to how we're going to satisfy these things. Okay. And in this case here, it needs to be an industry workplace or a simulated industry environment. We've written, it'll be conducted in the workplace. Problem solved. Next one, assessment must have access to all these things. We'll write the equipment will be provided by the workplace. The stock will be provided by the workplace. We're solving all these problems as we go. Okay. And there's more. Then we've got will be completed during shifts, and assessors will hold all requirements. So I'll just leave it on that first few for a moment so you can write that or something similar. You can reword that, reorganize that, don't hesitate. And then before Claire even asks, I'm going to scroll down to the next page. I hope everyone's got those first 2 down. There's the last 3 of them there. Glad I got a smile out of you, Claire. I've got to entertain myself today. Alison, Barbara, Beth, Brenton, Brett, Carolyn, Kathy, Claire, Daniel, Danielle. Sorry, Daniel, Demi, Don, Di, Elizabeth, Gary. Good to have you all here. All right. I'm guessing everyone's just about finished that. Just a few more seconds. Jillian, Gobinda, Alona, Asatu, Jacqueline, Janet, Jevon, Joy, Julia, Carr, Ken, Lauren, Leanne, Linda, Melanie, Michelle, Nicholas, Predrag, Rodney, Simone, Suzanne, Jennifer, Tammy, Tanya, and Tracy. It's good to have you all here. Good to have you all here. All right, I'm seeing lots of dones. I think we're ready to move on. Now, interestingly, in this template, the most mistakes that students make are in this next section, the final section. Okay, there's 3 questions of final checks. Does the assessment plan cover the entire unit of competency? You'd hope it does. Do the assessment instruments meet the required workplace candidate needs? You hope they do. Is the contextualization suitable? Yes. Just answer those 3 questions, yes. Because if you answer those questions no, it's like saying, oh, I stuffed it up. So give us yeses. And then the magic is the last question. In the space below, record any recommendations for improvement of the assessment plans, instruments, or tools as a result of your mapping analysis. So basically, tell us something you could improve or do differently or would think about if you were doing it again. Okay. There's lots of possibilities of answers there, but you must put an answer. Please don't write, no, can't think of anything. It's perfect. We will go straight back to you and ask you to provide an alternative answer, because one of the skills you need to demonstrate is your willingness and ability to improve what you're doing. Okay, so you do need to provide an answer there. You don't need to necessarily go and make those changes, but you do need to provide something to us. Okay, in this case here, we wrote a variety of workplaces and venues can be used. We could make allowances for the student's own workplace. Clever ideas, contextualization and action right there. Okay, but you could talk about your choice of methods. You might got to get to this stage and think, well, I wish I'd done a different method. Okay, we might want to review this in a time frame down the track. You can talk about that. You might talk about, not sure I've asked enough. I'm not sure if we've got enough items ticked under the questioning column. Maybe I should have planned to ask more questions. Haven't got very much use of the product-based method. Maybe I could have used that more. Okay. Or you could just sit there and reflect and say, look, I'm really not sure about that I've got the right solution here for element 3. Okay. Under the performance criteria for element 3, I'm not confident I've got the right solutions here. We might have to trial it. Things like that, where you're checking and looking at what you've done and finding out a way that maybe there's a different way to do it that could have been better. Biggest 2 mistakes on this assessment mapping that we receive from students. Number 1 is people forget to answer the last question. The other one is people forget to put the unit of competency at the top. So make sure you fill in both of those. We've got a request here from Lauren to just pop back up to the assessment conditions again. There's the last 3. Is this for before it's done or after? Linda, the answer is based upon you just having done this mapping document at that time. We want you to answer that last question, not to wait for it to, you use them, come back to this later or anything. No, answer the question straight away. Based upon what you've done so far, what's your best feel as to possible changes? Okay. Let me just check with Lauren. Got what you want? Yes, we've got a thanks. I'll go back to the end again. Carr, could you explain a bit more on how to translate the elements of competency to detailed performance evidence and detailed knowledge of evidence? Carr, I'm going to guess here that there's a misunderstanding in terms of the way we use these documents. So, Carr, the elements of competency and the performance criteria are given to you in the main unit document, okay? But you are also given the performance evidence and the knowledge evidence. You copy it from the assessment requirements document, okay? Now, that you might be a little lost there, so just let me try and find something here that will help you. So I'm going to duck off the Word document for a moment here, guys, and I'm going to go back to TGA again. Okay, can everyone see training.gov.au? Can I have a few yeses in the chat? Yes, okay. Thanks, Jennifer. Yep, okay, great. So the answer to the question, Car, is when you scroll down, you'll see all the information here already organized. So here's your elements and performance criteria. Scrolling down further, you see your foundation skills because they give them to us in this unit. Yay. Then they give us the performance evidence and the knowledge evidence. That information is given to us. We don't have to create it. But with respect to the download documents, you'll find the performance criteria and elements are in this unit of competency document, and the performance evidence and knowledge evidence are in the assessment requirements document. So that's why you need to download both of these documents. Okay. Car, can I just ask, does that answer your question? Does that help you? Great. No worries. Demi, some considerations for adjustment are a variety of workplace industries can be used. Allowances can be made depending on students' workplaces. Yeah, I like it. I think they're great. Good stuff. Like it. Nice work. Okay. Does anyone need to go back to the mapping document again? Does anyone need to go back to the mapping document again? Or have you? Did you get everything you needed? Couple of no's. All good. Okay. Okay. Because I'm done with it. That was the end of the document and I'm done. There's nothing else I wanted to show you. So awesome. Okay to move forward. Okay, great. There was nothing else I intended to show you during this session, folks. That is the mapping. That is how it works. That's how it's done. The thing that takes a really long time is copying all that information on the left-hand side. So I know we spent a lot of time mucking around at the start of the session getting those documents to you, but I hope that was a time saver rather than writing it all in. Okay, so please excuse me for taking the time to get that to you, because I think that's created a better experience for you during this hour. Okay. Unfortunately, there's no other way around the other ones you're going to be doing of copying it and pasting in there, just like Mr. Wed and every other RTO does to an extent. Okay. I don't have any other tips for mapping. As I said earlier, you can do the plan first, then the mapping, or the mapping, then the plan. But I do recommend you do both those documents before you start your instruments. Okay. And we are going to show you how to do the instruments in our next session, which starts at 1:30. So we've got just over an hour's break to the next session where we will show you how to do the instruments. Janet has asked, can I review again part C in the contextualization piece of assessment plan, the copying and pasting thing? Okay, yeah, I think others might find that helpful. So I will do that. But what I'll do is I'll call an official end to this webinar first. If people already understand that and you don't need that, you don't need to stay. Otherwise, I will go through that again. Janet, was that what you wanted to talk to me about earlier? Was that the question you asked at the end of the previous webinar? Yes, great. All right. Cool. So I'm going to go through that again because it is a good question. I suspect others might want to see that again. So I'll be happy to go through that. But otherwise, was there anything else you wanted to ask before we wrap up this session? All right. We're all good? Okay. Question from Jennifer. What do we do in 3 days face-to-face assessment cluster? You learn all about assessment, including this stuff. Jennifer is the answer. So if you haven't attended the 3 days assessment cluster yet, go. Because you've also asked, do we cover the other tools? No, you won't get time to do the other tools. It's all learning. So you'll learn about all the other stuff. And for those who've already been to the assessment cluster, there's a lot of other stuff compared in addition to what we're covering today. So you'll see all this again, but you'll learn a lot more. So yeah, go along if you're booked in. Okay. All right. Because there's 29 assessments, and we're only talking about 5 of them here, the 5 biggest. But there's lots more involved. All right. I've got a dad joke for you. I did promise you one. So here it goes. Where do boats go when they're sick? Where do boats go when they're sick? Does anyone have an answer? Does anyone think they know the answer? Pop it in the chat. To the doctor. Jennifer, that is a great answer, and I think that's probably equally as good as mine. To the sick bay, not quite. Okay. No, the answer I had was to the boat dock. To the boat dock. That's where you'd put the boat, in the boat dock. Okay. Sorry. Okay, so Janet, what's happened is Janet, yes, you are Janet, but Sweetie is Jennifer. So sorry, I got a bit lost there somewhere. So yes, Janet, if I was answering your question when it was Jennifer's, I got confused. But Sweetie is Jennifer and Janet is Janet, and I'm trying to get it right. Okay, promise. All right, folks, that's it for mapping. Have some lunch, get something to eat. Finish this mapping if you haven't finished it. Okay, whether it's this unit or another unit that you're working on, finish it, and we'll see you again in just over an hour's time at 1:30 Australian Eastern Standard Time, Queensland, New South Wales, Victoria, Tasmania, ACT. Okay, and we'll go through the instruments, and that'll be the last big webinar for the day. We do have one planned for towards the end of the day. If you've got questions, you can jump on and ask your questions. But otherwise, I'll see you again in just over an hour for instruments. Stay on board. Don't leave if you want me to explain that stuff about the implementation guidelines and contextualization. Again, I'm going to take 7 minutes to explain that right now. So otherwise, if you don't feel as though you need that explanation, just hit the leave webinar button, find it, leave, and we'll see you in just over an hour's time. All right. Oh, Leanne, you just knocked that question. I forgot to ask about who to use as an observer. Leanne, can I ring you? Because then I'll be able to we'll be able to brainstorm it, get an answer that works really well for you. I think that might be the clever approach. You happy with that? Yes, but it'll probably be a long answer. Okay. All right. I got no problem with that. We'll work it out, Leanne. Okay. We'll get the right answer as long as it takes. Okay. I'll give you a call straight after I'm finished this webinar. Okay. Thanks for reminding me. You'd like some help with that too, Simone? Okay. Well, it's 2. All right. I'll give you both a call. All right. Let's dive in and talk about contextualization again. So, firstly, finding the contextualization guidelines. You look for the links within the unit of competency. Easiest way I find is right at the bottom. In truth, it hides halfway down as well. Let me find it. Here it is here. Okay, hides here as well. Okay. But you go to the bottom, you click that link, and it takes you to this page here. No, that's it. Yeah, this page here for this unit. Okay. For different units from different training packages, it'll take you to different places. Okay. This is the SIT one. Okay. If we were looking at a different unit, let's pick something that's really horrendous. BSB CMM 411. If we go to this unit of competency from the business services training package, and we click on the links here, it is truly horrific what you're about to see. Look at that. Look how many documents there. And they've archived the really old ones. Okay. So the one you want to choose is the most recent document. So look at the version numbers. Version 6.1, all sorts of stuff. Version 8.0, January 2022. That's the most recent version. So you click on that. Okay, and it downloads. We wait for it to download. Okay, and we save that. And we open it up. And this is where I went wrong earlier in the day, because now I've got to change the screen share so you can see it. There it is. Okay. Can everyone now see the BSB Business Services Training Package Implementation Guide? Okay, great. Kathy says yes, yes. Okay. Okay, good. All right. So what you can do is you can search this document for various words like contextualization, access, equity. That's a pretty clever approach because this document is in truth 93 pages long. Okay, so you don't necessarily want to start reading it, but if we dive back into the contents on page 3, okay, there's a lot of stuff in there which is lists of units and stuff. We're looking for advice and guidance. So stuff here about access and equity considerations. It is always a winner. Okay. Health and safety implications, that might be useful. Other information relevant to implementing the training package. That sounds really helpful. So let's go there. It's page 76. So I'm going to scoot down to 76. Okay, here we go. It's the same page that has the access and equity considerations. Okay. So what we do is we look for information here that is relevant to how we would create our assessment tools. Our assessment instruments within the assessment tool. So for example, it says here, ensure that training and assessment processes and methods do not disadvantage individual learners. Do you think that's an important thing we might want to keep in mind? Yep. We also need to determine the support needs of individual learners to provide access to any educational support services necessary. So there's two really good answers right there. That one and that one. And what it asks us in question C from the assessment plan asks us to go to this implementation guide and find two pieces of guidance or advice that would be relevant to contextualization. So I would literally copy that as my first answer and copy that next paragraph as my second answer, and I'm done. Okay. I could copy this stuff up here. Okay. About access and equity. That's all relevant too. Okay. There's some practical ideas about how to implement the access and equity. I can copy 2 of those 3 dot points as well. There's stuff here about disabilities, reasonable adjustments for learners with disabilities. There's all sorts of stuff. I could copy 2 of any of those things. Here's the health and safety implications. That's going to be important. So you can just copy 2 of those things into your answer as C and show us that you can look in there. Yeah, that one's the BSB unit, not the SIT. It's a different training package. So, but I wanted to show you that one because that's a beast with all those different versions to wade your way through. No matter what unit of competency you're working with, find the implementation guide that's relevant to that unit and that training package. Okay. So with the one we've been working through today, it's the SIT one here. Okay. Yeah, but it needs to be the right training package. I appreciate you clarifying that, Janet. Yes, Simone's already on top of it. Yeah, you can do that in the SIT as well, Janet. Yep, find 2, copy them in. They're your answers. You don't have to interpret them. You don't do anything complicated. You can just literally copy, and that's important guidance relevant to contextualization. I hope that provides a little bit of more reassurance to everyone as to how that works. Are there any questions? Jennifer likes it. Got a yes. Thank you. All right, cool. Cool. Is there anyone else who'd like to ask another question? All right. That is it. It's officially your lunch break now. So take an hour, finish that mapping. If you finished that assessment plan and you finished that mapping, by the time we start the next one, you are in such good shape. You are definitely going to get this assessment tool totally finished today. Okay. That's where you want to be. Assessment plan tick, assessment mapping tick, and then we'll deal with the instruments. Simone, I have not, sorry, Jennifer's asked for a call as well. Okay. All right, I can do that. All right, cool. I'm going to ring Leanne, then Simone, then Jennifer. Okay. Phone calls coming your way soon, guys. Otherwise, the rest of you, see you again in an hour or so. Good job so far today, guys. You're doing great, and look forward to helping you finish this assessment tool this afternoon. All right, go have a break, catch up, make sure you're in good track, and I'll see you again in just on an hour's time. See you later. Bye-bye, everyone.